Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. I'm your host, Amy Beltran, CEO and founder of Irresistible University. I am here to help you drop the body image issues so that you can lose the emotional weight and gain the confidence to look and feel irresistible at any size. Welcome back to this week's Irresistible You podcast episode, you guys. So last week I was out of town for a couple of days. I was in Pennsylvania/New Jersey because it was right on the border. So my hotel was in Pennsylvania and the event was in New Jersey. But I was there for Heroic Public Speaking Core. I have been doing this online program with them for the past 7 weeks or so, and the program ends with a 2-day intensive in-person workshop with trainings and master classes and workshops and all the things. So I just left there with so many great takeaways and aha moments and new connections, and just thinking about how can I take what I've learned here and how can I apply it to Irresistible University and the Irresistible You podcast, and how am I able to take this new knowledge and help you guys with what it is that I learned. And so the whole reason I was there, it's called Heroic Public Speaking, so you can probably guess why I'm there. But the reason I was there is to really up level my speaking game. So learning how to speak better, how to formulate what I'm saying in a much more cohesive way, how to present my ideas, whether it is here on the podcast, whether it is in my training videos and any of my paid courses, whether it's on my Facebook Lives or any of the videos and things that I put together out on social media. I'm able to use all of these skills that I've acquired to up level that material. Now, there's another way that I want to utilize this information that I did not mention on purpose, because I'm going to get to that, because for years now, I have been hearing people say to me, "You're a really good speaker. You're really good on stage. You should do more videos. You should do more speaking." And before last year, this is 2019, so before 2018, I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I wasn't even making Facebook Lives for my Irresistible University brand. I wasn't really doing any of that. I was only doing things in the written word. So my blog is how I got started. That's how a lot of people found me in the very beginning days. That's still how some people find me today. But that was the only way I was communicating with this brand and this mission that I'm trying to build, right? But while that was going on, I've been in the training and personal development world, professional development world for years. And so I've been doing workshops and trainings and speaking at conferences and doing those things, but it was never speaking on body image and confidence. It was speaking on social media and, corporate related things and how to grow your network and how, like, all that businessy stuff, right? And every time I would speak at one of these events or one of these workshops or trainings, I always had really good feedback, and I would just brush it to the side and say, "Oh, they're just trying to blow smoke up your ass. Like, they're not serious. They don't mean it. You're not good at this." And that you don't like it. Like, that you get really nervous and it's just like not your zone of genius to have to be on stage and be on, because I was like, I don't like to be on because it's a lot of pressure, right? And I like to be more behind the scenes and creating content and all of the things. And so I actually went to HPS, Heroic Public Speaking, 2 years ago to one of their conferences. And that honestly was the first time I was like, your mission and what you're trying to do to help these other women is more important than your nerves. It is more important than any of the fear that you might have about putting yourself out there. Because to put myself out there and talk about how to grow your social media following is way different stakes than to put myself out there and talk about, hey, I used to be the fat girl that got picked on all the time, and guess what? Look at me now. I have this podcast and this brand, and look where it's a totally different vibe, right? It's a totally different level of vulnerability, because to talk about social media, to talk about businessy stuff, you're not really letting people in all that much, right? And so I continue to just tell myself, like, this isn't me. I don't ever want to speak. I don't want to do that. I would be too nervous. There is no way I could get on a stage of thousands of people and like share my story and what I do. Fast forward to now, I have a podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Facebook Lives every single week. I'm on some kind of video or platform every single week, multiple times a week in my community, whether it's in my paid community or my free community or on social media. And the next big frontier for me, honestly, is to get on stage. And to get on stage to share my story, to take what I do here on the podcast and do it live and in person. And I have wanted to do certain events and whatnot, but I never really thought about I could be a keynote speaker at an event, at a conference with thousands of other people. And that feeling for me was like super overwhelming. And I'm sharing all of this with you, super vulnerable to be sharing this with you, but I'm sharing it with you because when I left the event and because I drove, I had like a 5.5 hour drive and I'm driving back home. It really hit me that, and I was crying, and I hope I don't tear up now thinking about this. I started to tear up thinking about, oh my God, I really like this. Because we got to get on stage and present a piece of our talk that we're working on, and we could get coached on it and got some really amazing feedback. And I realized that once I was on that stage, the nerves were gone. Once I was on that stage, I was like, oh my God, I actually really like this. I really, really like it here. And I want to do more of this. And it scares the shit out of me. And that's why I want to do it even more. Because it's like that initial moment of like getting called up to the stage is really scary. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. And then you get up there and you start doing your work. You start doing the thing that you need to do and saying what you need to say. And we had other workshops as well throughout the couple days. We did an improv workshop because like improv acting, because that's a really valuable skill when you are a speaker, to be able to think on your feet, right? And in improv, we had to do some acting. And people were like, you're really good at this. You're so theatrical. And I was in drama class back in high school, and it was one of my most favorite classes, and I loved it. And it really made me realize that I like this. I want to do more of this. And this is like that thing that I've been avoiding that I know will take me to this next level that nothing else can. That it will share this message with the world in the way that nothing else can. And it's terrifying, but it's also so exciting and exhilarating because I know in my heart that is what I am supposed to be doing. And it just really kind of got me like back to this point in my life where like I'm not like where I had this like really good passionate drive around theatrics and drama and all like being on stage. And I'm saying all this too because the way that they train you is around the fact that speaking is a performance, right? So I'm sharing this with you today because I thought, wow, like there's this thing that I know that I am really good at, and that with the right training and the right coaching, I'm going to be even better at. I know it. Other people have been telling me this for years. So what's the problem? Why am I avoiding it? Why have I told myself that's not for me? I'm not a speaker. I'm happy to just be behind the scenes. And I've made this decision to play small. And it really got me thinking about you. And it got me thinking about how you are playing small in your own life. Because while you know on one side of you that you have all of this potential, you know what life could look like for you, you know that things could be so much better, and you know that you're allowing yourself to wait for the wait. It really got me thinking about you and how these things are actually like super related to each other. And when I shared this with one of my dear friends, and she's also one of the faculty with HPS as well, we've known each other for many years and we've worked together. She said, the reason is because you know the stakes are really high for you to take this path. And I was like, yes, it's scary because the stakes are higher. If I stay where I'm at, I don't try to go outside my bubble any more than I am right now, I don't raise the stakes. And when you raise the stakes, it brings up a lot of other feelings inside of you and things that you've been afraid to do, right? And so I want to talk about that with you today, about what waiting for the wait is costing you. And when I talk about waiting for the wait, I mean putting your life on hold until you get to your goal weight, putting your life on hold until you're a certain size. Waiting for the wait is also maybe you've lost your weight and you magically think now something better is supposed to happen for you. But none of that happens until you decide that you are going to make it happen and you're going to raise the stakes. And so a lot of times, using your weight and your body size as an excuse is a way for you to play it safe, a way for you to play it small, a way for you to not raise the stakes and step into your actual power, right? Because as long as you stay there and you can blame it on, well, I'm too big for that, I'll never be able to do it, or I could never wear that because look at me, I'm too big, or no one's going to hire me being at this size, or whatever that story is that you are telling yourself, it's costing you something in your life. And I want to talk through a couple of the reasons why you're afraid to raise the stakes as it relates to waiting for the wait. And the number one reason why is because to raise the stakes in your life, and when I say raise the stakes, I mean you're raising the stakes to a life that you know you're capable of. You're raising the stakes to your real potential. You're now no longer allowing yourself to play small, okay? The number one reason why you're not doing that is because you have to be seen. To raise the stakes means you got to step into your potential. And to step into your potential is a really scary thing, especially when you can feel it and you know that you've got a lot of potential there. And that you know there's a lot of freaking power underneath of all of it. And to raise the stakes means being seen because you're no longer allowed to play small. You're no longer allowed to hide in the shadows in the corners of your life. Because to be seen means you have to show up. You have to be vulnerable. And why is it that we don't show up? Why is it that we're afraid to be vulnerable? We're afraid of these things because what if they don't like me? What if they call me fat? What if I fail? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you today, my friend. You are going to fail. It's not if, it's when. They're going to call you fat. And you can tell them, bye, Felicia, when they do, because they don't matter. And people are going to talk. And you have to really ask yourself, am I going to allow a couple of trolls, a couple of negative Nellies in my life to cost me the life that I know I'm supposed to be living? Because so often our weight and our size prevents us from showing up and being seen, because you think if you show up fully, if you show up with this big personality that you have, it makes you look bigger. It makes you look like people can see you. They can hear you. You are taking up space with no apologies. And so when we're not trying to show up, we make ourselves appear smaller by lowering our voice and hunching our shoulders over and not really raising our hand and not participating in life. And to be seen means you speak up, you show up, and you don't apologize for taking up space. Right? So the second thing is, and the second reason why you put your life on hold for the wait, and you wait for the wait, is because once you decide to show up, once you decide to stop waiting for the wait, and you decide to raise the stakes of your life, you now have to maintain a higher level of performance than the past version of you, right? And maintenance is the hardest piece of anything, right? Maintenance means doing the stuff you don't want to do on those days where you feel like shit. Maintenance means keeping the momentum going even though you feel like quitting. Keeping the momentum going even though people are talking crap. Keeping the momentum going even though you're getting criticized. And so we're afraid to show up. We're afraid to raise the stakes because once we do, how the hell am I going to maintain this? Right? If I show up and I get the position to director or VP, oh my God, how in the hell am I going to maintain this? Because this is a whole nother mindset. So instead of showing up, I'm just going to stay in my old mediocre position, right? You're doing that, right? It may not be in that exact example, but you're doing that in your life. Or it's like, I'm not going to go all in and like get the physical weight off because I don't think I can maintain it. And the reason you can't maintain it is because you're just looking at it as, I just got to get the weight off, right? You're not looking at it as the whole plan. And so the third thing that I see so often that you're avoiding is because success breeds more responsibility. Let me say it again. Success breeds more responsibility. When you are successful, when you are playing at a higher level, you have a higher level of responsibility, right? And this is kind of similar to the last one, but in the sense that, this is about still having to do the things you don't want to do when it feels hard. This is about putting your head down and doing the work on those really tough days. And it's about ditching all of your BS excuses, all of your stories that you've been telling yourself. Because if you want to raise the stakes in your life, if you want to take it to the next level, you are taking on a new level of responsibility. To yourself, to other people, and maybe you're not ready for that. So you self-sabotage. This is where that self-sabotaging comes in because to be successful, to take your life to the next level, that's what you're actually afraid of. You're not afraid of failing. Most people are actually afraid of success because success it causes you to be seen. It causes you to raise to a higher level of performance, and it means that you're going to have more responsibilities than when you're playing small, playing it safe, and living under your level of potential. So the next thing is you're afraid of letting yourself down, right? Because to raise the stakes in your life means you're no longer going to allow yourself to let you down. And that's the number one person that you're letting down by playing small and playing what you think is safe. And when you decide to step into your power, you know that it's no longer acceptable to keep letting yourself down again and again and again, right? And all of these actions, all of these beliefs, all of this stuff that is surrounding you, waiting for the weight to step into your power, it is costing you. It is. And it's costing you a lot. So what is it costing you? Well, first and foremost, and this is one of my biggest fears in life, one of the number one things that makes me like really, really sad to think about, is it's costing you wasted potential. If you are not stepping up, if you are not stepping up and playing it big in your life and doing what you know that you're capable of doing, you are wasting all of the potential that's inside of you. And there is nothing more sad to me than waking up one day, being old, and realizing, shit, I could have done that thing. So what if they would have laughed at me? So what if they would have called me fat? So what if I failed? because I would learn from it and I would have got back up and tried again. So it is costing you wasted potential every single day that ticks by that you're not stepping up. Every single day that you hide, every single day that you tell yourself, I'm too fat for this, I'll do it next summer, I'll do it next winter, I'll do it next holiday, you're wasting your potential. Number 2, you're also wasting time. And I don't think, this is not, this isn't like a new concept here, right? We don't get the time back. The time that we have on this earth is limited. We actually don't know how much time we're going to have on this earth. And every day, again, that ticks by that you're using the excuses, that you're hiding behind the fat, that you're hiding behind your weight as an excuse, you're wasting time. And you will not get that time back. It's gone, it's gone. So I want you to ask yourself, how many more seasons, how many more holidays, how many more summer vacations am I going to waste waiting for the wait to just magically go away and my life will be perfect? The other thing that it's costing you is a shit ton of regrets. I want you to think about that scenario that I shared earlier about being old and looking back on your life and having regrets. And I know for me, I would much rather be called every name in the book. I would much rather fail. I would much rather try my damnedest to do something than to look back and go, I really could have done that. And I have so many regrets now. Because I know that I had the capabilities. I know with the right discipline, I would have gotten where I wanted to go. And I allowed myself to not do it. And let me just share a quick story with you around regret. One of the main reasons that I put off having children, I honestly never had the kid bug for a long time. I didn't want them. I wasn't amused by it. I was just like, that's not for me. And then all of a sudden, people said, it started to eat at me. And I was 34. And I was like, ugh. It was actually eating at me of I kind of want to do this, but I'm not ready. I'm too big. I don't want to be the fat girl who's pregnant. I just don't want to be overweight. And then people don't know. I had all these things running through my head. And I've got posts on the blog that you can read all about being overweight and pregnant and all that stuff. And my husband and I sat at the table one night and we had this conversation and we both were feeling the same thing. He was not sitting there wondering about body image, okay? He was just I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready and I don't want to be and I shared with him, and this was really scary at the time. I was like, I'm actually really scared because of my weight. And he was like, are you serious? He's like, you're crazy. Why? Right? And so we looked at each other and said, if we don't try, because at the time, if you've never had kids, you don't even know if you can have them, if you've never tried. And we looked at each other and said, if we don't try, will we regret it? And at the same time, we were like, yes, absolutely. And to put off becoming a mother because of some extra weight, when I get it, I understand it because I went through it, but when I actually look at that in the bigger picture and I look at the fact that Catalina would not be here today, that is so sad to me. And I've also asked the question out in the community before about what are you holding on to? What are you waiting for because of your weight? And I've had community members say to me, raising a family, starting a family. You guys, that's really sad. And you will have so much regret. And that's an extreme example, but I want you to think about that in your own life and the places where you're not doing things that you really want to do because you're afraid of what you look like. You're afraid of the judgment. You're afraid of what somebody might say to you. And so waiting for the wait is costing you a shit ton of regrets. But it's not too late, right? You can still do something about it. It's also costing you mediocrity. Oh my God, I can't say that word. Let me rephrase that, you guys, because I'm going to keep stumbling on that word. I'm so bad at saying this word. It is going to cost you a mediocre life. Are you okay with that? If you're okay with that, okay, fine. Me personally, I am not okay with living a mediocre life. I have a big vision, I have big goals, and I know in my bones how much I am capable of. And I don't say this to be cocky or, conceited or anything like that. I have so much confidence in what I know I am capable of that it scares the shit out of me. Because why? It's going to make me have more responsibilities. I'm not going to be able to just say, F it today. I don't want to do it. It's going to mean showing up in a way that I've never shown up before. It means I have to maintain a higher level of performance. And so if you're okay with living a mediocre life, great. I personally am not okay with that. And when you're sitting there having this struggle of knowing you're capable of so much more, knowing you're able to do more, knowing you have the potential, knowing in your heart that you're hiding, you're going to look back and have those regrets of, my life was just mediocre and it could have been great. It could have been fabulous. It could have been irresistible. So it's costing you that. It's costing you the life that you're actually capable of having. And last but not least, because I think this kind of encompasses everything, it is costing you your happiness. And I know that when you start your day in the morning, already pinching and pulling on your fat rolls, looking at yourself in the mirror naked before you hit the shower, hating the process of finding something to wear and thinking that everything looks like crap on you, and you're constantly obsessing all day long about how much you weigh, what you look like, what you're eating, what you're not eating, and you live your entire day like revolving around food and weight and body image, you are not a happy person inside. There's no room for it. And so as long as you're allowing yourself to wait for the wait, as long as you're playing small, as long as you're not raising the stakes in your life, you're costing yourself your happiness. How is that okay? How are you okay with that? Because costing yourself your happiness is wasting time. It's going to give you tons of regrets. It's wasting your potential. And none of that is okay. None of that is how you're supposed to live your life. And I just want to reiterate again, when the time is gone, it's gone. So you're either going to do something about it, or you're going to accept the fact that I'm not going to play to my real potential. I'm going to play it small, and my happiness isn't really all that important, and I'm going to just let the weight continue to dictate everything about my life. Those are your options. That's it. Right? So listen, I want to have you come on over to the free podcast discussion group. It's on Facebook. It is in the show notes. And I want to discuss this episode with you. I want to know where you see yourself in these different examples and what is your weight costing you. Maybe it's something that I didn't even list here in the podcast. So I want to hear from you. So come on over there. We'll have a good discussion. We'll talk about everything. And thank you again for tuning in, for listening and supporting the podcast. If you could, I would appreciate a rating and review on iTunes. It literally takes less than a minute, and it helps to raise awareness of the podcast, to share it with other women that need to hear this message. Thank you again for your time, and until next time, stay irresistible.